But in the meantime, ladies and gentlemen, every single week we give you the latest information and news in terms of animals, people, and things that are going on in this crazy world we live in. So, Janelle, hit me with it, baby.
Wow. Infotainment.
Yeah. Well, you already went over a bit of your news with the Pamela Anderson thing, but do you want me to read my piece while you're looking around?
Please, sir. Please.
Okay. A pet funeral home opens in the Beaches. George Binks is a veteran of pet burials. She buried several hamsters in her backyard at Yonge and Lawrence. Her most recent service commemorated the death of Zippity, an obese hamster who died of heart failure. I put him in a shoebox and lowered him down, she said. He weighed a ton. She and her kids said some words and then said their final farewells. It's a nice feeling burying your pet in the backyard, she said. He's still close to us. It's not illegal to bury your pet in Toronto. It isn't? Oh, I thought it was. Okay. According to the Ontario Dead Animals Disposal Act, passed in 1990, as long as the animal goes under 2 feet of earth, burying a dead pet is okay. Well, that's interesting because I didn't know that. It is a cheap, homegrown way to commemorate the end of your pet's life. Interesting. But Helen Hobbs, a pet death specialist, caters to pet owners who want to send out their companion in a bit more style. Miss Hobbs recently opened a storefront in the Beaches called Pets at Peace, a tasteful, airy little spot with hardwood floors and exposed brick. Glass display cases hold urns of various sizes and designs. One is covered with tiny white kitten paws. Another with the image of a bright blue bird in mid-flight and the words "Going Home." In another case, there are silver necklaces with small paw-shaped lockets to hold ashes. Very interesting.
I got to tell you, I got to interrupt you on this and,
Yep.
and stop this story because, you know what? It's stuff like this that rubs me the wrong way because it's at the end of the day, you don't get into this for the love and games and to pay rent and never to make money back. You obviously get into this because it's a growing industry. And I understand that, and as someone who's got a business degree, I think it's a great idea. But then again, you got to sit back and it's like funeral homes. You go into a funeral home, it's like, how much for this? It's like, $15,000 for the tombstone, not the tombstone,
the coffin.
The coffin. I mean, it becomes to a point where having a funeral is $40,000.
Yeah.
Some people can't even afford. Like, what do you do?
No, it's a sad state of affairs where we're profiting from the death of others, but that's unfortunately what it is. Just so you know, she charges $225 for a complete package, which is essentially a pickup from the family home or vet clinic within Toronto, private individual cremation and urn, and return of the ashes within a week. So that's what she charges.
I'll just go buy a shovel.
Well, there you go. Some people want it. And I think, you know what, if a service is there and there's a demand for it, I don't see a problem with it.
I'm not saying that there's a problem with it. I'm just saying that we've become too much of a society where, hey, let's in 5 years from now, people are going to start having regular, if you want to bury your dog, well, listen, hey, you can do it the natural way. Or you can get a $3,000 stainless steel just so no bugs can ever get at your dog bones. Yeah, what comes? That's what I'm just saying. That's why obviously I understand supply and demand, but I mean, what next? That's all I'm going to say. What next? Here's the.
Well, that's kind of interesting.
And this was in Ohio.
Yeah.
So wow. I mean, you can actually see this. This gets me very offended.
Yeah, and it says that the title of this, by the way, for those of you who are just listening in, there's an ad in Iowa.
Billboard.
A billboard, sorry, that has Hitler, Obama, and Karl Marx in the same thing, and it says, "Radical leaders prey on the fearful and naive," which is, yeah.
I love Americans, but sometimes people, you got to understand, don't believe everything you read over here.
So there's a new funeral home in the Beaches. That's the one story.
Well, the Beach is a very pet-friendly place, so hopefully she doesn't... Hopefully it's affordable. I'm going to read you a couple of stories here. Obviously, the topic of the day is heat, and how do we deal with our animals in heat right now? Not in heat, but dealing with the heat. The ancient Greeks and Romans used the term to donate the period of time when the dog... I can't pronounce all that stuff. Anyways, during this time, the seas boiled, wine turned sour, dogs grew mad. Now, that's very interesting. This is during the time of Caesar. So think about it. The seas would get really hot, wine would sour, and dogs got mad. So if you think about that, certain types of heat will drive certain people crazy. I know if I'm walking around and it's really, really, really hot, I lose my temper 100 times faster than I would if it's normal weather outside. So your dog is pretty much the same thing. Dogs and cats don't sweat. A lot of people think dogs and cats sweat. Obviously, they don't, okay? I got to tell you, they only dispose of their heat through their pads of their feet and flopping their tongue. And, so every time they pant and you have these little things, that's them sweating, okay? So, anyways, I'm going to read this, okay? A few minutes in a car in a severe, like weather right now where it's 40 degrees, okay, in Canada. A few minutes in a car, even one with air conditioning running, can quickly kill your pet or leave it severe brain damage, according to the Humane Society for Greater Canada. I mean, brain damage because of the heat. Is this something you've seen?
Yep, we're going to talk about it.
Wow, yeah. I'm actually really interested. Anyways, there's a lot of preventions. We'll get into that a little bit later on during the show. But this is, once again, it's kind of...
Well, it's a perfect topic for this time of day because it's this time of year because it is pretty darn hot outside, and I think a lot of people are learning. In the old days, they didn't, but I'm seeing much less heat stroke than I ever used to. So I think a lot of people are listening and reading articles like that one.
I want you to read this one. It'll be our last news story for the day up on the top there because I think that this is an interesting one for you to give out because this is something that I don't know if you knew about it because you're on vacation, but let's talk about this.
Okay. The Food and Drug Administration, the FDA, announced the expansion of a recent pet food recall yesterday. Feline's Pride.
So it's an expansion. They're actually saying, okay, you know what? We started off with 100,000. Now we're going after pretty much the whole kit and caboodle.
Okay. Issued a voluntary recall on a batch of Feline Pride's raw food July 1st. The recall affected only the 2.5-pound bags of natural chicken formula produced on June 10th. Now the company expanded the voluntary recall to include the same type of food produced on June 21st because it may be contaminated with salmonella. Big surprise. The FDA warns that people handling raw pet food can become infected with salmonella, especially if they're not thoroughly washing their hands and having contact with the raw pet food or any surfaces exposed to the product.
Yes. We've been doing this show for 2 years, and I think at least once a month there is a food recall that is on the news that we present to people all over the States, all over Canada, and the world. And I don't think these companies are learning because how does this keep happening?
It's people not paying attention, I think the big food companies pay attention. Some of the little fly-by-nighters don't. They're trying to get a food out there. I mean, I haven't even heard of that food before. But obviously it's one of these, raw pet foods. But
you'll find a lot of these things in some of the specialty grocery stores and specialty pet stores around the GTA.
Yeah.
It's a raw food. I mean, there's a niche
people,
market
I don't know.
for it.
I have no idea why, but yeah, people think that it makes their pet better, so they're going to use it. And there's always somebody's opinion, right? So the person who's feeding it really thinks that. Anyway. So,
last but not least,
there's pet owners are advised to check pets for ticks. And the Animal Health Division of the province's Department of Natural Resources is advising owners to examine their pets for deer ticks in light of a significant number reported across the island. Now, what island are we talking about? Is this New Brunswick? Oh, it's in New Brunswick.
Damn deers.
And Nova Scotia. It's from Labrador. Deer ticks can attach themselves to any warm-blooded host, including humans, and some of them are responsible for spreading Lyme's disease to dogs and humans. We have known two known cases of Lyme disease in animals in the province in the past. In 2004 and 2006, both dogs were on the West Coast. So far in 2010, we've seen 19 deer ticks across the island, almost all removed from pet dogs, with one coming from a cat. So, for those of you who are listening in who are out on the East Coast, please check your pets for deer ticks, which is one of the vectors for Lyme disease. And
have you seen what does a deer tick look like?
They've got antlers. No, just kidding. They have a certain, it's funny, ticks all have a certain sort of anatomy, and so what you'd end up doing is you pop the tick off, and then you can actually send the tick off for analysis. I just put them under a microscope, and you tell by the size of their nose and their legs what kind of tick it is. Like we have a book in the back that shows you all the different species of ticks. So that's the news for today.